Hello, welcome to a very special live. We're trying this for the third time, so I really hope this works.
Fourth.
We're trying this for the fourth time. Sorry, we've had some technical glitches, so it's been a bit crazy. But we're here and we're going to quickly talk about everything that's making news in Karnataka elections. Bajrang Bali and Bajrang Dal have entered the electoral contest, and that's making you laugh a lot, Prajwal. But I'm here with Dhanya, who's editor-in-chief News Minute. I'm here with Pooja Prasadna, who's a reporting head, and I'm here with Prajwal, who's a reporter with the News Minute, and you would have checked some of his amazing bylines from coastal Karnataka on the very issue that we're going to be discussing. Now, quickly, I think I should read out a little bit on what the controversy is all about. Congress released its manifesto yesterday, came up with a slew of promises, of course, welfareism, 2,000 rupees for every head of family, every woman, not BPL, every woman. That's quite something to guarantee. Free travel for women under state buses, scrapping NEP, which is a national education policy, and also taking back all the anti-people laws. So maybe like in Karnataka, the hijab ban or the reservation that was scrapped. Maybe that's what they were hinting at. And then they said that Congress is committed to take firm, decisive action against individual and organizations spreading hatred among communities on grounds of caste or religion. We believe that law and constitution is sacrosanct and cannot be violated by individuals and organizations like Bajrang Dal, PFI, or others promoting enmity. And then they said we'll take decisive actions as per law, including imposing a ban on any such organizations. So the thinking is that since PFI is banned, they're talking about Bajrang Dal being banned. So quickly first, before we'll get into a little bit on Bajrang Dal here and what that organization really means in Karnataka, because it's a bit different from what we know of it in the north. But I just want to first get your thoughts, Dhanya, and then Prajwal and Pooja, on is this going to damage the Congress, saying that Bajrang Dal will be banned?
So the Congress's manifesto says that if there is hate speech, I'll hold. If there is hate speech or if there is any sort of provocation, then they will ban, right? But that message is getting lost. First thing, the BJP is doing two things. One, they are accusing the Congress of equating the PFI and the Bajrang Dal, right? The PFI is a terrorist organization, the BJP says, and that you cannot equate that with the Bajrang Dal, which may have rogue elements, but it is an organization to protect Hindu faith and Hindus. So that's one thing. And second, the Prime Minister himself has said that this is an attack on Hanuman devotees, on Bajrangis, which is what everybody is now echoing. So the BJP has muddled the message. They have told the people that it is an attack on Hanuman devotees, not on the Bajrang Dal per se, and that there will be a ban.
And the Prime Minister himself in the speech said that they trapped Ram earlier and now they're trying to trap our Hanumanji.
Yes. So when that message gets muddled, there will definitely be repercussions for the Congress. There's absolutely no doubt, especially in coastal Karnataka, where you have the largest number of Bajrang Dal members. Now, Bajrang Dal members were anyway never going to vote for the Congress. So I think the Congress is not worried about that. But if the message goes that this is an attack on Hindus, on Hanuman devotees, then that may not work. But through the day, I've been observing what the Congress has been doing. Some of them are taking this head on. Like, for example, DK Shivkumar there's a Hanuman Chalisa protest happening tomorrow where across temples, Bajrang Dalis are going to chant Hanuman Chalisa. So when somebody asked DK Shivkumar, he said, I also chant Hanuman Chalisa. So the first day, Congress is taking it head on. Some of them are, not everybody. But I don't know how much pressure, because there's definitely seeming to be some internal murmur within the Congress that this was not a great move. This should have been avoided. But there's one section who feels that this is the time to go for it. But one big problem here is that when the Congress was in power, you guys can correct me, that there was an attack in DJ Halli in Bengaluru where a Congress Congress MLA's house was attacked and the PFI and SDPI were involved in it. So the question, I just watched a Kannada news channel anchor asking, not a BJP person, a Kannada news channel anchor asking that why didn't you then ban the PFI? So these are the questions the Congress will have to face now.
Pooja, you want to tell us?
I have.
Yes.
That's mine. And I hope it works. So, the question is electorally, what was the Congress looking to achieve, right? I mean, during an election season, I think the nuance always gets lost. And the BJP, the members are experts at tweaking messages. So I sat through 3 press conferences today in the BJP office. And it was very clear that the rhetoric is Hanuman is being insulted. Hanuman devotees are being insulted. We repeatedly asked, but they've not said anything about Hanuman devotees. Bajrang Dal, which is an organization, is what they're talking about. So they're not differentiating, of course, deliberately. Now, this can confuse people because people may not be able to differentiate because there's carpet bombing, right? Like I told you, back to back, there were 3 press conferences on this. If you watch the Kannada channels, this is all they're talking about as well. So in Karnataka, just to give you a quick context, this image of Hanuman, who's called Anjaneya here, or Bajrangi, is very, very strong. If you go to gyms here, you will find pictures of Hanuman everywhere. So there is a strong sentiment. Also, Karnataka is seen as the land where Hanuman was born. So there is a sentiment there. Now the Congress will have to take it head on, but the problem is, as long as this is in the news cycle, I don't know how much it will work for the Congress.
Okay.
Right?
What do you think, Prajwal? Do you think like this is gonna? So, like Dhanya said, people who support Bajrang Dal are anyway never gonna, vote for the Congress. But in terms of just general sentiment, and especially where you've reported on, would something like this put off even voters who are, say, floating voters or haven't decided who they want to vote for? Would that impact them too?
I actually started my day with a flurry of calls from the Congress in Udupi. I think they did not know that something like this would be appearing in the Congress manifesto. So
Really?
Typical Congress.
so the,
Really?
yeah. So the Congress in Udupi was in damage control mode since the morning because if you are fighting an election in coastal Karnataka, I don't think that the Congress can afford to go out with this kind of messaging where the Bajrang Dal is the strongest. Is very strong.
But the Bajrang Dal people are standing against the BJP, right? In some of the constituencies.
Yes. So that's the interesting layer of this election where some of a prominent Bajrang Dal leader is facing up against the BJP in Puttur constituency. So the BJP has been fighting an internal rebellion from Hindutva groups and Hindutva groups workers for a while now in Karnataka, and in the middle of that, it's gotten an issue like this to capitalize on. So
bunch of interesting things I want to pick on. Just that one, that BJP versus Bajrang Dal in coastal Karnataka, electorally they're fighting off. And
Two or three seats.
in 2 or 3. And is that because they feel the BJP is not Hindutva enough? They're not strong enough? Like, what is the reason for this?
So yeah, exactly that. They think that the BJP is not Hindutva enough. And in particular, I have found that the BJP state chief is extremely unpopular. Nalin Kumar Katil, I don't know if people outside Karnataka are familiar with the BJP state chief, Nalin Kumar Katil, but he's been the chief for a few years now. And he is extremely unpopular amongst Sangh Parivar workers for some time, mainly because even though he talks the language of the Sangh, so if you go through his statements or headlines in the last 6 months, you'll see that he's the one who said development, like roads and drains, are small issues. Love
Don't
jihad.
talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about development, roads and drains. Talk about love jihad. So if you see that the headlines are mostly that he's somebody who talks.
So why
the
are the Bajrang Dalis upset with him?
Yeah, so he does not have a good image because one of the reasons is that he became an MP in 2009, and on the development front, he started building a flyover in 2009, which completed, in 2020. So he was ridiculed for the, construction of this flyover in Mangalore. It's a popular flyover called the Pumpwell flyover, and that kind of sentiment had already begun building within the Sangh Parivar that he's unpopular and he needs to be replaced. And in July last year, evidence of this presented itself. So when a BJP youth worker, Praveen Nettaru, was killed in Dakshina Kannada, Nalin Kumar Katil was actually opposed and confronted by Sangh Parivar workers. A car that he was traveling in was stopped and violently shaken by Sangh Parivar workers, and the video of which was spread out across the state, and also it kind of sent out this message. This message resonated with the BJP High Command that he is very unpopular.
So one quick context for our viewers: Bajrang Dal was formed in 1984 in Uttar Pradesh, and it is basically a youth wing of the VHP. And the idea was that when Shobha Yatras are taken out in Uttar Pradesh and other parts of northern India specifically to rally for the Ram Mandir, Bajrang Dalis would stand as bodyguards basically for these Shobha Yatras. So that's been sort of their history. They are strongest in Gujarat, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. That's where you'd see them dominant and you'd see them very prominently. Opposing pet peeves are interfaith marriages, interfaith couples, cow slaughter, couples also, just general couples. I know cow slaughter, that's one big thing. But I want to, and in Karnataka, 2008 onwards is when they kind of gained prominence for attacking churches, which they took responsibility for. They gave a press conference and very proudly said and said, "Ha, that credit is the right word." So I just want to ask from Prajwal, just can you give us from the last 2 years two examples of Bajrang Dal's involvement in cases which have kind of hit headlines and have made it to the news, prominent ones?
Since the 2000s, Bajrang Dal is part of this competitive communalism environment in coastal Karnataka, where a lot of different groups that raise the same agendas, that fight for Hindutva, are part of this competitive race to, sort of communalize the region. And Bajrang Dal is one of the most important players amongst them. And in the last year, the two major communal violent incidents where Muslim youths were killed, the accused in these cases have been from the Bajrang Dal. And
Hindu youths were also killed by the PFI.
The Hindu youths were killed by PFI, and in that case also the SDPI has fielded them as a candidate, and that has also kicked up a lot of conversation in Dakshina Kannada district. But in the two other murders that took place, so it was in July 2022 that a cycle of 3 murders took place, and in 2 of the cases, 2 Muslim youths were killed, and in both cases the accused are from the Bajrang Dal. And the Bajrang Dal has also aggressively worked in the past year on a number of issues, anti-hijab agitations, where you saw saffron shawl wearing students oppose their hijab wearing classmates, and also the exclusion of Muslim traders from temple fairs, which was like an economic boycott of the Muslim community.
That was actually very disturbing incidents where basically they were not allowed to enter temple fairs, and it would typically be Bajrang Dalis who would check for IDs and check for who's entering and who's not.
Yes,
that is something.
Essentially, Bajrang Dal workers used to be posted outside these temple fairs, and they even put up posters in the town saying that Muslims are not welcome. Even in temple fair where the deity, or rather the temple, is said to be built by a Muslim merchant in the 12th century. So this idea of Muslims being a part of the social mix of coastal Karnataka is something that's ancient, that goes back 16th, 17th centuries. One of the earliest mosques that is still operational in India is found in this part of the world. And Bajrang Dal, keeping out Muslims from the temple fairs in this region, has sort of severed the ties that have been shaped for centuries.
Now, I just want to quickly get to both of you. When there is an incident that Bajrang Dal is involved in, especially murder cases, serious cases, does the BJP, I just want to understand the equation, like does the BJP ever come to their rescue, ever issue statements in there, or like what is the relationship between the BJP and Bajrang Dal? Or is it like, okay, these are fringe groups, we don't care, they do what they do, we launch cases against them? And
I don't think they look at them as fringe groups anymore.
Quickly, when Bajrang Dal, for example, these 2 murders where Bajrang Dal people were accused, and even previous ones, when the PFI murders or the SDPI murders, I mean, these are the 2 main groups involved, right? It's Bajrang Dal on one side and the PFI. I'm talking about political violence. So we've seen clearly the BJP align itself with the Bajrang Dal. In fact, Prajwal has done a very detailed story on how when the Hindus are killed, the government has given compensation. When the Muslims are killed, and remember, these 2 Muslims who were killed recently were not part of any groups. They were just normal people, not belonging to any groups. One was killed because he owned a calf, right? And the other person simply because he had a shop in that area where there was communal tension. They were not PFI members or SDPI members. They were not given any compensation by the government. So the government has clearly identified who to support and who not to. And I don't think they ever called a Bajrang Dal fringe, really. I mean, they would sometimes distance themselves from the violence, a few of them saying, okay, these are bad apples. But other than that, the BJP has made political mileage out of the murders committed by the PFI and the Bajrang Dal.
Also, I want to talk about this one incident. There was one Bajrang Dal worker who was killed in Shimoga. This is where B.S. Yediyurappa comes from. His sons are MPs, and now another son is contesting from Shikaripura. So there we saw, and I was there, and the entire town people were scared to come out. BJP workers, Hindu Jagan Vedike, Bajrang Dal workers, they all took out a march when Section 144 was in place. So no, it did not seem like they did not want to get involved. Of course, he was killed by PFI members who were arrested. But a lot of Muslim households, shops were also vandalized at that point of time. People who were completely unconnected to the accused also had to face the ire of this mob. So I remember at least about 400 to 500 people had marched through Shimoga, and this group was led by family members of Yediyurappa, Ishwarappa, who was a sitting minister at that point of time, many senior BJP leaders. So no, they're not disowning the Bajrang
And
Dal.
the Bajrang Dal leaders, for example, in Karnataka, I think the BJP has not been very consistent. For example, Pramod Mutalik, one Bajrang Dal leader, who the BJP, former Bajrang Dal leader, then he, of course,
Famous for the pub attack.
Yes,
right?
famous for the
That's
pub.
when that's the first time I actually, first time I heard of something in Karnataka, the whole Mangalore pub attacks.
But he was in the Bajrang Dal first, and then he started the Sri Rama Sene. But the BJP did distance themselves from Pramod Mutalik because I think the attention was too much on what Mutalik did. So, at their own convenience, they have sometimes distanced themselves from these people, sometimes embraced the Hindutva people. Like, for example, there is another story we did on this guy called Yashpal Suvarna. Which group does he belong to? No group.
No, he was with the Hindu USA.
Okay, that is another group, Hindu Yuva Sene.
How many such senes or groups exist in Mangalore?
There are plenty of them now. But
And
the
Sri Ram
Hindu
Sene
Jagrana
itself has
Vedike-
a lot of breakaway factions, right?
Yeah, it had a lot of breakaway factions before it disbanded and left the region. But it seems to have come back now, and Sri Ram Sene's chief is fighting the elections against the BJP.
But isn't that because of personal ambition? I don't know if it's because he finds BJP not Hindutva enough. Also, within these groups, I think they have their own personal ambition to lead the group. When they don't get to do that, they
No,
come
but
out.
remember they gave Pramod Mutalik a ticket, or they said they will, and they
are
had to
allowed
withdraw it in
join
a
the party.
and
And
then-
then a lot of uproar, and then they
exact. Yeah, not ticket. Yeah, he joined the party, and then immediately they had to sort of make him leave because there was pressure. So I'm saying it's all there's no consistency in the pattern which the BJP has behaved. Sometimes they will disown the person, sometimes they will embrace the person or use them accordingly. Like this Yashpal Suvarna was an accused in stripping naked two cow transporters, but of course he was acquitted in the case because of shoddy investigation. But there was enough evidence when the case was first reported. So the BJP, like today, we had spoken to a lot of BJP leaders who said that there will be rogue elements, but you still cannot compare the Bajrang Dal to the PFI, is what they say.
Can you, though? In terms of their activities, there is competitive political violence, like you said. I don't know if you can call it political violence because they aren't really officially, I mean, PFI and Bajrang Dal,
Religious
religious communal tensions. So, what is the nature of this competitive? I mean, can you really compare it?
Also, my point is, why do we need to compare? Can't we say, I mean, if PFI, I don't want to get into the merits of the investigation. It is a banned organization. We'll take it at that. Why can't we say PFI is problematic? So is Bajrang Dal. It doesn't have to be as problematic as PFI or the same nature, right? It's bad enough that you have these guys, regularly indulging in violence. And also, I mean, Prajwal can elaborate, there is a lot of fear, right? I mean, youngsters going to colleges are really worried and they're very careful to make sure they don't.
training, which
they have done
recently.
Yeah, in the last year, I think there was also in the peak of the hijab agitations a report that was filed that Bajrang Dal had given arms training in a yearly event that they usually hold at a school, and this kind of has made people more fearful than before because it's a part of the conversation in coastal Karnataka that this violence is a norm now. That this cycle of violence is something that many people in the coast have become used to, and usually it would peak during the election. But this time around, apart from a few cases in 2022, we've had a relatively calmer run up to the election.
In terms of social fabric, just quickly, can you give me a sense of, for our viewers, to just understand what fears couples may go through, or youngsters, or even Muslims? Can you just give us a little sense of what this kind of an organization, and not just one, like offshoots, so many, keeping an eye, really a vigilante sort of a thing, just,
That
like-
Prajwal should be asked.
like one case
question.
especially which I found very alarming was a Muslim guy with a Hindu woman driving, and he gets attacked, and it appears to be only because he's with a Hindu woman.
Yeah.
But I think
yeah.
both
No,
groups
but
attack.
this has been the course of things for as long as I remember. I grew up in this region, and I can say that both fundamentalist organizations from Muslim and Hindu sides have indulged in this kind of separation of interfaith mingling, interfaith friendship. and it's become a point where it's not even like a Hindutva group member or a PFI member who's reporting these things. So I've come across many cases when a bus conductor who is not part of any groups, if he sees a Hindu and a Muslim going together, he informs the local Bajrang Dal member, or he informs the local. And I've seen many cases. What you just described is like an everyday thing now. So there is a book on communalism that was written in the early 2000s that describes how communal attacks in this region went up from once in 6 months in 1998 to once every other week in 2004. So the sharp rise in communal attacks and the documentation of it, we don't know how many have been happening really. And as I see, this trend has continued ever since then. And we've reached a point where you don't know whether the person at the ticketing counter at the tourist spot you're visiting, or the bus conductor, or who will inform the local Bajrang Dal unit instead of informing the police. And in a lot of the cases, the Bajrang Dal stops the bus, takes the couple to the police station, and it's an ordeal that many couples can testify to going
That's
through.
I just want to like one case which I remember. There's not even a couple. If I'm not mistaken, it was an Eid that a Hindu girl, young woman had gone to a Muslim woman's house for eating biryani, and people just the Hindutva groups. I don't exactly remember which group, but they get out the house and they said that the Muslim woman's brother was going to marry the Hindu woman, and there is going to be a love jihad there. For that family's blessing, the Muslim brother was actually not at home that day. He was in Bangalore. He was working here. So therefore, they could not, and there's no relationship between the Hindu woman and the Muslim man. Finally, the Hindu woman's family had to go to the police. So it is not like the Hindu groups are encouraged by all the Hindus now, because they are also victims of this kind of, moral policing and vigilantism, right?
I think it's actually very, just to cut in once, like what he's describing, I heard a lot of that in Gujarat, where a lot of people would say that, even if there is a consenting Hindu and a Muslim, say a Hindu wants to sell a house to a Muslim and they're consenting, they just would not do it because somebody locally would report to the VHP. So as a result, you have complete segregation. It is not even, I mean, there's just segregation. And in a coastal town and coastal areas, it's very interesting if this is happening, and sad because traditionally, historically, these towns have always been melting pots because it's the coast. So you have people come in, and so it's really sad if that's happening, and it's pretty horrific for young people there.
No, that's true. I want to add one thing here. So it's the coast, and the region is a melting pot of different cultures. So there are cases where Hindu communities or the Mogaviras, the fisher community, which is significant in number in this coastal Karnataka region, the Mogavira community pray to a deity who is considered to be a Muslim merchant. So there are all these beautiful stories of communal harmony, the beautiful stories that tie the communities together in coastal Karnataka. But right now we are in an age where these stories are being forgotten and being changed and challenged. There have been books that have been written in the last 20 years which have challenged the stories that have been told for decades, and is appearing to say that okay, it's not a Muslim merchant, but it's actually someone called Bappa. Is not a Muslim, but he's actually a Hindu deity itself. So we are heading towards a point where the end result is a boycott of the two communities, or rather a social segregation of the two communities. Yeah, in a more fractured society.
You were saying something, Pooja? You want
No,
to add something?
I was just talking about a few years ago. I had spoken to Pramod Mutalik and a bunch of other people, and they proudly said that we have informants everywhere, including inside classrooms. We have people inside to tell us which boy is talking to which girl, and if they're going home together. We have informants at the end of every road, in ice cream parlors and whatnot. So it's very easy for us to identify who's with whom and what are they doing. And before, and what was disturbing for me is many times the family members were also going to these guys filing complaints, right? Saying that my daughter is talking to somebody who I think is a Muslim boy. So can you do something about this sort of thing? That I thought was, that was extremely disturbing.
So guys, we can take some questions. We have 15 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can shoot at us. Hello, everyone saying hashtag independent media. Thank you. Everyone's saying, then there is a fan of Prajwal who's saying Prajwal bro. Then is this an issue on coastal Karnataka? Yes, it is. As we discussed, it's been quite a big thing there. Somebody saying Congress has lost their marbles. Amir Khan is saying that because they said that they'll ban Bajrang Dal. That's why. Okay, so yeah, we'll take your questions if you want. I just have one quick question on the media for you guys. So typically, what happens is that when the Congress, and I can take an example of this case, the Congress comes out with this manifesto, the BJP says what it does, and then what you have is a lot of the Hindi media channels just amplify the BJP's message. So you will see anchors on prime time saying that Bajrang Dal or Bajrangi log ban ho rahe hain, just to say that we are under attack. Now, in the land of Hanuman, you can't pray to Hanuman. And that kind of messaging just is 24/7 across news channels, at least the Hindi ones that I saw, plenty of the English ones also. And that is also the messaging that goes on WhatsApp. So, and this has a serious impact on voters who may not be Hindutva, who may not be committed core voter base of BJP, but they're ticked off with this anti-Hinduism, quote unquote. Do you see that happening here, and how has the Kannada media played its role? If you guys have watched anything,
I actually
and
don't know. I have watched a bit. Yeah. Interestingly, today, the press conferences I was telling you about, I saw the reporters being very confrontational. They kept, the BJP leaders tried to, in fact, give some very vague answers and get away, but they wouldn't let go of it. They kept hammering, saying, but what you're saying is untrue. And they kept fact checking them on the spot, which is very heartening. And I've been seeing this, quite a bit. But when you see the anchors on the Kannada channels, I think they're parroting what the BJP leaders are saying.
I want to correct Manisha, because Manisha said that when the BJP announces something, the Hindi channels parrot it. But I think the Hindi channels go beyond what the BJP said. And even in Karnataka, see, yesterday they were all busy with Narendra Modi's rally. Today, slowly, you're seeing the coverage increasing. But I don't know if it is going to become a huge topic also, because by tomorrow something else will come. Right? So 1 or 2 days they're going to discuss it. Now, will a lot of Hindus think this is anti-Hindutva agenda? That depends on
anti-Hindu, like
anti-Hindu.
will
Yeah,
that
anti-Hindu.
sentiment be like, oh, Congress is anti-Hindu party, because that's what happens with.
But there is a danger to it, right? The BJP also knows that you cannot push beyond the point saying Bajrang Dal is Hindu. Then there is going to be some pushback that are you then going to own up to their crimes also? So I don't think they're going to go like the next 5 days is going to be the topic. Definitely the Congress either miscalculated this or suddenly they have developed some kind of gumption, intuition, I don't know what it is.
I hear that in some. Okay. So I was talking to a few people from the Congress today, and I'm told that apparently in about 7 to 8 seats in Old Mysuru, they found that some of the Muslim voters were undecided, and usually they vote for either JDS or Congress, right? So they thought this move could help those voters sway, but probably this will end up with them losing votes elsewhere in the state, right? I mean, so electorally, I don't know if it's.
Sorry, I have questions, but Prajwal, quickly, maybe you can tell us. Not talking about the core Hindutva guys, not the necessarily BJP voters, but people who don't mind voting for BJP for other issues like development, or they like Modi or whatever. For them, would this piss them off? Would they take it also as anti-Hindu? And media, if you've seen anything, yeah.
The media part, I think we'll have to wait, like Danya said, over the next few days if this picks up. But in coastal Karnataka, at least, I don't think that the people who are part of the Bajrang Dal who resonate with this message were anyway going to vote for the BJP. There was not going to be any case of them voting for the Congress. But what it has given them is like an issue to rally around. So the WhatsApp status of every person who is connected to the BJP or Bajrang Dal in any way today has been that this is the land of Hanuman and I am a Bajrangi. And
Like Tejasvi Surya also said.
So they're connecting this thing to Kannada pride.
Kannada pride.
So they're trying to say that in the land of Hanuman, that Karnataka is the birthplace of Hanuman, is their argument. And they're saying that in this we cannot pray to Hanuman, but also that this message is going around very, very aggressively amongst Hindutva groups.
I have one small theory. So till now, whatever exit polls, whatever polls have been coming are not very flattering for the BJP, right? It has been saying that the Congress is an edge, including a poll done by one of the channels here. So the BJP has been very strangely not speaking about Hindutva. This is a very different scenario in 2018 where they were talking about Paresh Mehta's murder and lot of other Paresh Mehta's death, and lot of other issues. They were hammering the Hindutva agenda. This time they have been very quiet. They've been talking about development, about no corruption because they have been accused of corruption. So and their graph is going down. Now the Congress has given them this chit. So either the BJP believes that since the other things were not working, let us take this up. I guess if it doesn't work out for them in the next 2 days, they'll also drop the subject.
Okay, so we have some questions and you guys can take it. Is this just an attempt to ensure Muslim vote doesn't split up? I think that's what Pooja was hinting at. Like you have SDPI, AMIM, etc. So to ensure that INC is going to protect Muslims, they have gone ahead with this message. That's
Yeah,
it.
the SDPI has stood against the Congress in the last year. Whenever these all these cycle of incidents that I was talking about has happened in coastal Karnataka, the Congress has been absent from this. Where was the NSUI when the anti-hijab agitations broke out? And one of the biggest stories to come from Udupi in the last decade, and the Congress is not on the ground. And the Congress has decided that it will not be part of the conversation.
Recent
Idris Pasha, yeah, I was there in Ramnagar, and incidentally, it is the stronghold.
the murder.
Oh yeah, so a couple of months ago, a cattle transporter was
months, weeks.
okay. Time is a blur for us here. But in a place called Ramnagara, which is about an hour and a half from Bangalore, a cattle transporter was murdered, and this was about 2 minutes away from a local police station there. 3 people were transporting cattle, and this guy called Puneet Kerehalli, who's the main accused in this case, has been posting videos of him using a taser on these cattle transporters, attacking them, and proudly posting it on
Very much like Monu Manesar of Haryana.
ha. So then one of them succumbed, and he had a lot of burn marks on injuries on his body and stuff. So when I was there, it was mostly the STPI guys, and this region happens to be the constituency of DK Shivkumar, who's the Congress president. The parliamentarian from there is DK Suresh, his brother. They are very strong in the region. DK Shivkumar did not bother coming to his constituency. He was busy in another part of Karnataka in Hassan, and then he flew off to Delhi. So people were very angry, saying, "Where is our MLA? You talk about it in TV studios and secularism and this that. On the ground, you're so scared to address an issue like this."
So maybe this is their sentiment. It is their thing to tell the Muslims that look, we are here with you. Don't worry.
It's quite uncharacteristic of the Congress to actually include this in the manifesto. If you look at whatever they've been doing in the last 4 years, which is not really, take this whole problem of communalism head on. Yeah.
Who are the participants of the discussion? Can you please tell? So this is Manisha Pandey. This is Dhanya Rajendran. That's Pooja Prasanna, and that's Prajwal. Editor-in-chief, reporting head. She's the head of reporters at News Minute and reporter with News Minute. All 3 of them are with News Minute. I'm with Newslaundry.
Do not confuse us.
Yeah.
But you can subscribe to both of us.
Yeah, you can subscribe to both websites.
Yeah, subscribe to both of us.
Can you trust Congress banning Bajrang Dal when recent Chhattisgarh violence, where Congress reigns, hasn't resulted in any bans in that state? Yeah, that's interesting. Like, will they actually even do this if they come to power?
So that's what I said. It's so uncharacteristic of the Congress to even include this, unless, I don't know, Spider-Man becomes that black Spider-Man or something, right? Something like that has happened. I don't know. I don't think they will actually ban. What? Like overnight, they became a different personality. But I don't really think they will go ahead.
On the Spider-Man.
No,
That's
coming
from
black
Spider-Man 2.
There's this black Spider-Man, right? Like
There
it has
is
a
black
different
Spider-Man.
personality altogether. But yeah, so I don't understand. I don't think they will ban.
Dhanya, maybe you can take this conspiracy theory question. Is there any link between the timing of Kerala story release and Karnataka election?
What?
Is there a link between the release of Kerala story and Karnataka election?
Everything in the world is connected. Therefore, maybe it is, right? I don't know. I mean, I really want to watch Kerala story, but I don't know if I can. So I am very upset that it is the time of the Karnataka election because I may not be able to watch, but I do want to watch.
So why not ban every extremist group, whichever religion from it is? So whichever religion, basically, why not ban every extremist group? Congress should have done it 2008 only in Karnataka. Why doing it so late? PFI done by BJP. I don't think Congress will ban anyone. They'll ban no one. Neither PFI, neither. So why not ban every?
Only
digital
media is banned from Vidhan Sabha.
I honestly don't think bans help.
Fight for that.
And Bajrang Dal was incidentally banned in 92 for a year, and then it was revoked. I don't think, look, it's a slippery slope also. You have to have proof to ban an organization, and you have to have credible proof that the organization is promoting violence as a key. So I am an organization, one of my employees goes and kills someone, you can't ban me for it. But as an organization, if I am telling my employees every day that we must kill, we must kill this person and target this person in that way, then there's
Manisha,
grounds for ban. What?
these exact words were told by Tejasvi Surya to Pooja today. That if you commit a murder, can
A
your
serious
organization be
crime.
held responsible?
But he's right.
But you just
What about me committing?
Tejasvi
a
and
crime? No.
Tejasvi, you and I have a lot in common.
I am a law-abiding
Just give
citizen.
me an interview. We can be very good friends.
But Manisha, just to go back
If
to
you're
that
watching this, no.
Also,
But I think look,
the
it's a
Tejasvi Surya interview,
yeah,
so do
yeah.
watch.
No,
on
I
the
just think it's a
news.
slippery slope. And look, with the PFI also, a lot of the argument has been that you have to have credible proof that PFI as an organization has links to terrorists or is actually going out and giving.
and we don't know if
you know,
it will
yeah.
withstand legal scrutiny.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
look at what happened
you
to the
can't
Simi
ban
band,
everyone,
right?
yeah.
Simi was banned, and so many of them came
Yeah.
very grouped and all.
And you
that,
have
so.
to address communalism, because also the thing is now you're saying there are 30, 40 groups. So banning Bajrang Dal will mean they'll ban and they'll regroup as some.
Same as
So
Simi did.
it's not the easiest things to.
But it's also odd that when the PFI is banned,
Hmm.
its political wing SDPI is actually
Yeah.
fielded more candidates this time.
So who will
So-
split the votes?
Who will split the votes and affect the Congress?
So that's very interesting actually, and there's no discussion on this. PFI is banned, but its political group is in action. So that's also a very interesting thing. What is the effect of Gulf money coming in? How does it affect dynamics between two communities in and around Mangalore? Maybe you want to take that. The Gulf money coming in.
I mean,
Does that create a sense of
What is Gulf money? People working in the Gulf and
people
work.
working in the Gulf
No,
and
there
maybe
has
sending
been a
back money?
constant flow of the residents of
Does this create a
Tulnadu, we
sense of
call it.
animosity that okay, those people are more affluent than us, or does it change culturally? Does it change?
So it has happened over decades. I mean, this is part of a much longer discussion. But to take an example I took earlier, the Mogaviras and Muslims, they have a shared bond not only because they have a deity that they worship to in common, but also because they're part of the same trade. And in this same trade, the Mogaviras are part of the fishing group that goes out into the sea, is part of the fishing process, and Muslims are part of the trading process. So over decades, I think there has been a resentment from the Mogaviras that I have observed, that many analysts have also described, that after the movement of people from coastal Karnataka to the Gulf countries began, and some Muslim communities started accumulating more wealth, or became more they started moving upwards in the economics and social ladder. So this sort of resentment has widened the gap between the communities. So if you say that
That's there in
if the
Kerala also.
yeah, that similar thing is there in Kerala also.
Just
So
one more aspect of, I think one is, he's right, that they're bringing back money, so there is a little bit of insecurity as well. But I think, Prachwal, would you agree that many Muslims have come back, becoming a little more radicalized after they've come back from Gulf? Is that also something we've seen?
I don't know if you can be. I don't think you can attribute it to the fact that they've been abroad, but the Muslims who are part of the social mix of coastal Karnataka have been, what do you call, very, very interestingly, they were like basically part of the social mix for such a long time, and are part of the rituals and festivals in the Hindu communities as well. But now we are reaching a point where they're being excluded from certain activities in public spaces.
So yeah, and I think look, communalism, to understand it, there's always an economic aspect. Like a lot of the cases, I mean, we had this crazy case in Agra where Hindu Mahasabha guys were involved, but they took money for it, from a Muslim who wanted to fix another Muslim. So there are these extortion angles to this kind of communalism, and there are economic angles also to it. Sometimes it could be from a jealousy of a certain community doing better than them or things like that. Culturally, I don't know. I'm not very sure. I haven't been there, but that's an interesting question to explore. Okay, last question. What's with the collab between Newslaundry and News Minute? Is there more to this than meets the eye? I don't know. Maybe.
What meets the eye? That's how, what meets
There
That's
could
all.
be more
That's it.
than meets the eye. I don't know what you
Four
mean.
of us sitting together and
She's
talking
just
about
being-
stories.
No, but mysterious for no reason.
On a very serious note, it is important that independent media, especially digital media, and which are smaller when compared to mainstream, come together. For example, the election, like the whole time we tell you stories, we give you different perspectives than what you watch on Hindi channels, English channels, etc. We give you different perspectives, but when it comes, let's say in election time, we just cannot meet their strength, right? Because they have more money, they have more people on the ground. So not just about election, I think it is important that independent media comes together. So we also amplify each other's strength. We have certain strengths, they have certain strengths, we have certain weaknesses, they have theirs, they wouldn't admit, we won't admit, but we will come together.
Yeah, and yeah, we're stronger together. So that's that. And you can read about this on Newslaundry and News Minute. We've put a detailed kind of a piece on it. You can catch some of the videos we've done together. We have one where Pooja and I traveled together in Old Mysore region. It's a fun story on Tipu Sultan and the fables around him, the fabulous fables around Tipu Sultan, and of course related to election. So you can catch all of that coming soon. You can absolutely check out some of the fabulous work that News Minute has done. Check out their YouTube channel, subscribe to their channel, like their channel. They have some amazing interviews they've done this election. You really have to catch them. So do that. And of course, should I pitch for News Minute and then you can pitch for News Laundry? Collab. Subscribe to the News Minute, become a member. They do some fabulous work. You can absolutely keep in touch with everything. I think they're the go-to people when you want to know anything about the South. And they have fabulous in-depth pieces, reports, and amazing videos. So subscribe. That's what keeps them going. You have to become a member. Do you guys do events also?
Yes.
So you can come to their events, which are really cool. That'll also be fun. You can get to meet Dhanya. You get to meet the News Minute team. You have special guests. So you can form a lovely little community here in Bangalore. I guess that's where you do most of your events. So do that. Become a member. No, not a menger. Don't become a menger. Do not become a menger or a wenger. Become a member. It's late. It's 8:30. We're hungry. Become a member, and yes, you can pitch us now.
I will. I have a solid pitch. So people go through all kinds of torture in life, and then once you go through torture for a long period of time, you don't want to go through the torture anymore, right? So I don't watch television. Manisha
does it
watches
every
it on
night
behalf
for
of
us.
all of us every single night, and I think a lot of people in News Laundry watch it. And I sometimes ask Manisha, "Do you have PTSD, or do you have should you take a break?" So just for that, you have to subscribe to News Laundry. The main reason is that they watch TV on your behalf and tell you what is happening on TV. The second is they do some really cool pieces, and there's no one really in the Indian media that tells you about the Indian media itself. And if anybody has to be scrutinized in an in-depth way, that is the Indian media itself. So we do owe it to the News Laundry that we have so many reports about different Indian media houses. So do subscribe to them for that too.
And happy World Press Freedom Day. Support independent media, guys. Do it.
You didn't have a mic.
Support independent media. Do it. Happy Press Freedom Day.